Hello everyone, this is Dr. JERLIN Rajan, Assistant Professor, Karunya School of Management. First of all, I welcome you all to this online learning portal to learn managerial economics. Already I have posted 3 videos. I hope you might have gone through that and you might have understood about the basic elements of managerial economics. Today, we are going to discuss about prices determined in the free market economy. How the prices are being determined in the free market economy. So what is free market? So in the free market, there are large number of buyers, there are large number of sellers, but no one is allowed to influence the price level. But how the price is determined in the free market economy? As discussed clearly, in a free market, the forces of demand and supply determine the prices. So there are two forces, supply and demand. These two forces will determine the price level in the free market economy. The government does not interfere in the determination of the prices. However, in some cases, the government may intervene in determining the prices. So in free markets, the price of a product depends on how much consumers are willing and able to buy and how much the producers are willing and able to sell. So that clearly indicates that creating the effective demand. So which factors will create the effective demand in the market? If the consumers are having the desire to buy the product, do you think that this desire alone will help to have the effective demand in the market? No. The consumers are willing to buy the product, willing to pay for the product. Do you think it will create the effective demand in the market? No, it will not create the effective demand in the market. Now, because the consumers are not able to pay for the product. The purchasing power parity is lagging in the consumer side, but they are having the desire to buy the product. They are having the willingness to pay for the product, but they are unable to pay for the product. So, when all these three things bound together, it will create the effective demand in the market. That is, desire to buy the product, willingness to pay for the product, and the ability to pay for the product will create the effective demand in the market. In the same way, suppliers, just consider about the producers. They are producing the goods and services. So they should have the desire, they should have the willingness, and they should have the ability to produce the goods and services, and they should be ready to supply to meet the market demand. So two forces, supply and demand, will determine the price level in the economy. And we are going to discuss two questions, that is, how do the forces of demand and supply determine the price of a product in the free market economy, that we are going to discuss through the graphical representations and explain why the quantity demanded of a product tends to rise as price falls. So this is a kind of law of demand. When the price of the product increases, quantity demanded would decrease. We are going to discuss what are the factors influencing this quantity demanded. And we are going to discuss four economical terms: surplus, deficit, supply, and demand. So, what is surplus? If there is more supply and the less demand, then it leads to surplus. What is deficit? If there is more demand for the product and less supply, is considered as the deficit in an economy. Normally, it happens in an economy. If the price of the product increases, quantity demanded would decrease. That leads to surplus because more price and most of the consumers will not be able to buy or afford of it. So it leads to surplus and deficit. So what is deficit? So there is less supply, more demand. More demand for the product, less supply. So this scenario we can easily understand. If the price of the product goes down, there will be more demand. We can see the overcrowded market to buy the product. In these situations, the deficit will be taken place. We shall learn all these four economical words through graphical representations. Now, how the prices determined in the free market economy. So here we are having the graphical representations, how the prices are determined, that is. So This is x-axis, this is y-axis. So along with the x-axis, we are studying quantity demanded and supplied, and along with the y-axis, we are studying the price level, three levels of price indicated by P, P1 and P2. So D1 indicates the demand curve. Yes, S1 indicates the supply curve. So the demand curve and the supply curve intersecting a point is denoted as E, that is equilibrium level of quantity demanded and supplied in the given price level. Now just imagine if the price increases, if the price of the product increases from P to P1, what happened? There is a new line that intersecting in 2 points. One is in the demand curve that is denoted by D1. Another one is in the supply curve that is denoted by S1. Now we have P1 D1 and P1 S1. Just look at this. P1 S1 is greater than P1 D1 by D1 S1. It clearly indicates that the supply of the product is more. Demand for the particular product is less. Less demand, more supply, that forces the price to come down. More supply of the product and the less demand for the product forces the price to come down, that result in the surplus. And just imagine the second scenario. If the price goes down from P to P2, what will happen? It will create a new line that intersecting through supply curve as well as the demand curve that is denoted by S2 and D2. Here we are having P2 and S2, P2 and D2. So here P2 D2 is greater than P2 S2 by S2 D2. So it clearly indicates that there is more demand, less supply, that forces the market price to go up. When there is more supply and less demand, that forces the market price to go down, and when there is more demand and less supply, that forces the market forces to go up, and it will stand in the equilibrium point where the quantity demanded and supplied is equal to the given price level. So this is what, this is the way the price is determined in the free market economy. But there are large number of buyers, large number of sellers in the market. They are not allowed to influence the price level. The price level will be determined only through the two forces, that is supply and demand. That is based on the consumer's preferences, that is based on the producer's preferences. Now, quantity demanded for a product tends to rise as price falls due to the following reasons: the income effect or real income effect, the substitution effect, the law of diminishing marginal utility. So this is clearly says if the price of the product increases, quantity demanded would decrease. So what are the reasons behind this? The income level of the consumers. That is very, very important, because the income level of the consumers will determines how much he or she is going to buy. It will totally result in the demand. Okay, if your income is more, you will go and buy the costly goods and services. Okay, now you are getting around 20,000 rupees as your income. Just you will go and consider the fundamental goods and services. Okay, basic goods and services which is needed to lead a normal life. But when your income increases from 20,000 to 50,000, 50,000 to 1 lakhs, you will look for the, you will try to take a step to fulfill your wants, to buy a costly car, to buy a branded clothing. Am I right? So the income is having the direct effect to make the consumer demand. So the income effect is determined by the purchasing parity, purchasing power parity of the consumers. And second one is the substitution effect in the consumption. That is, two or more goods that satisfy the same wants or needs are referred to as substitution in the consumption. Consuming one good means that buyers do not need to consume another. when the price of one substitute commodity rises, demand for other substitute goods rises as well. For example, you are taking coffee every day. The coffee price is 10 rupees. Just imagine the price goes up for the coffee from 10 rupees to 15 rupees. Now, coffee drinkers will switch over to tea. The price of the product increases, quantity demanded to decrease. The price of the product for coffee is increasing now. So the quantity demanded for the coffee product is decreasing because the coffee drinkers are being switched to the tea drinkers. Because the ultimate aim is the same. Okay, you are taking the coffee to refresh yourself. Okay, now you are taking the tea to get the refreshment. So the price of the substitute increases, rises, then the demand will be reduced and they will switch over to the next substitution level. This will determine the price level in the market and the income and substitution effect in the consumption graph. So here we can see B1, B2 and B3. So these are the budget line. So normally we are earning income and we are spending that income. We are creating the budget. Okay, we are creating the budget line. Within that budget line, we are making our purchases. So the B1, just imagine the B1 is the basic budget line and B2 is the expanded, the new budget line. Okay, so the blue color indicates B3 is already we are having the budget line. Now, just imagine. So, along with the x-axis, we are studying the ice cream quantity, or the quantity demanded for ice cream, and along with the y-axis, quantity demanded for the books. Okay. So, when in the given budget lines, we are able to buy 5 quantity of books, and that leads to 6 quantity of ice creams. When we are able to buy 6 quantity of books, that time we will be able to buy 5 quantity of ice cream. Okay, now just imagine this. That is called the substitution effect. Now just imagine the new budget line, income effect. That is, we are able to buy 12 books and the same manner we are able to buy 24 ice creams. Now the income is increased. The new budget line clearly indicates that we are making the purchase decisions when our income is increases. Okay. So as I said clearly, when we are getting around 10,000 rupees as income, we will be able to buy some amount of goods and services. Our demand is limited. When we are getting more than 10,000 rupees or around 50,000 rupees, our demand would increase. Okay, and we will create the next budget line. So that will be indicated as the indifferent curve analysis. And the law of diminishing marginal utility. So what is law of diminishing marginal utilities? Very important concept in the economy. So when you are buying your product the first time, you will get the more value of utility. So you are buying a new product in the first time. So you will feel that you might have spent around 5,000 rupees for that product, but you will feel the utility value of 10,000. Again, you will be trending to buy that product. You will be motivated, influenced to buy that product again. When you are buying the same product in the second time, the utility value will be decreased slightly. When you are buying the same product in the third time, again the utility value will be coming down because you know the taste of the product, you know the features of the product, you know the working condition of that product. That's what it is clearly said. The law of diminishing marginal utility states that the additional utility gained from an increase in consumption decreases with each subsequent increase in the level of consumption. Marginal utility is the change in total utility due to a 1 unit change in the level of consumption. Okay, so that is, we shall study through the graphical representations. Units, total utility and the marginal utility. It clearly indicates that when you buy 1 unit of the product, the total utility is 10 and the marginal utility is 10. And when you are buying the second units, the total utility increasing and the marginal utility is decreasing. Finally, it results in the negative consumption rate. So in this point, consumers will stop purchase decisions. And you can see through the graph also. So thank you dear students for listening. This is what all about today's class. and we shall meet in the next class. Thank you.